Question 1e. Figure 2 shows the electricity generated by different energy resources in the UK. The total amount of electricity generated was the same in 2014 and 2015. And here we see a pie chart for 2014 with lots of different resources. The same one over here for 2015, lots of different resources. There are changes in the amounts of different energy resources used between 2014 and 2015. Explain the environmental impacts of the changes. Okay, and it's worth a total of, I'm going to look at that, 4 marks. So I'm going to have 4 bullet points. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, an explain, remember, is really a sort of a describe plus. So we're going to describe what happens and say why it's important. And in this case, we're going to talk about the environmental impacts. So what do we notice? What's the sort of big thing that we notice here? Well, gas is the same, so don't really notice anything with that one. Nuclear goes up. So nuclear goes up by 2%. Coal then goes down by 8%. That's quite a big change. Other fuels stay the same, so I'm not going to say anything really about them. Renewables has gone up by 6%. So there's 3 big changes there, and they're between nuclear, coal and renewables. Okay, so I'm going to talk about those 3, and we're talking about the environmental impact in particular. So let's say what happens. So there's more renewables, used, and let's just leave it. More renewables used. Well, why is that a good thing? That potentially means, in fact, let's go for more renewables and more nuclear, first of all, and more nuclear used. Okay, this means less reliance on fossil fuels, which are running out. Okay, we're also getting there as well, so not only less reliance, but if we think about the environment, nuclear doesn't release carbon dioxide. Many of the renewables don't release carbon dioxide as well, so less CO2 released into atmosphere. Okay, so I've got a describe bit and I've got an explain, so how that's important. Let's think about the fact now there's less coal, so less coal. Less coal used. And when we talk about used, we're talking about coal being burned. Okay, so why is that important? This means less CO2 released, which means, in fact, let's just talk about CO2. Let me just, so CO2, and I'm going to make sure the examiner knows that I know CO2 is a greenhouse gas. Which leads to the greenhouse effect. Global warming and climate change. So there's quite a lot of things here I could talk about. I'm sorry, just a bit off the page, bottom there. So less CO2 released. I've then made sure the examiner knows I know that CO2 is a greenhouse gas, and I've been able to say what that means in terms of it leads to greenhouse effect, which is linked to global warming and also climate change. It might well be there. There's loads of things I could say. I could talk about the fact that there's more nuclear, therefore there's more nuclear waste going to be generated, and that's obviously a bad thing for the environment. I could talk about the fact that when we burn coal, we also release gases that can cause acid rain, so sulfur dioxide as well, and there's going to be less of that. Yeah, there's quite a few. I might talk about if I'm increasing renewables, then maybe there's more wind farms and things. So maybe there's more visual pollution or a different type of visual pollution. Who knows? There's all sorts of different things. The key bit here is I'm describing something that I noticed from the pie chart, and I'm linking it to an explanation about how that might impact on the environment. Okay, take care.